Hey guys, it's me, Sam Stein, managing editor of the Bulwark. I'm here with AB Stoddard, one of our best voices at the Bulwark. You all should be checking her out every week when she writes. It's fantastic, and this week is a banger. I was fortunate enough to edit this one. I kind of wanted to talk to you about it because, I get the premise, and it is kind of one of those things where you just step back, you're like, what is going on here? But the piece is titled, Trump is Trying Hard to Lose. So I guess I'll start off with, what makes you think that?
So I think he's just really just self-destructive. So, he doesn't want to lose. He's obviously, his dad said there are killers and losers, and you couldn't be anything but one or the other. If you're not killing it, you're a loser. So he needs to win. That's why he's lied for 4 years about the last election. But he's really kind of losing it. And his lack of self-control, his self-indulgence, his pathologies allow this, right? I think he believes he's going to win.
Yeah.
And he's tired of putting on a show, and he doesn't want to talk about policy. He wants to be gross, and he wants to put people down. He wants to lean into the fascistic threats, and he wants to kind of be himself. And so he's really doing everything you wouldn't do in the closing weeks of 2 weeks in
Well, why don't you give us the best examples of that? There's so many, but what are your top three? Is Trump really trying to win this moments?
No, look at the way he's treating the female vote, right? Where she knows he's hemorrhaging women. Right. He's trying to close a gender gap. They ask him on Fox and Friends on the curvy couch on Friday, don't you want to, it turns out you're making plans to maybe appear with Nikki Haley. And he's so put off by that.
He doesn't want to anywhere with Nikki Haley.
So he says, I beat her so badly. I beat her like numbers you've never seen before. And it was a terrible thing what she did, he says.
Nikki Haley and I fought, and I beat her by 50, 60, 90 points. I beat her in her own state by numbers that nobody's ever been beaten by. I beat Nikki badly. I beat everyone else, too, badly. Frankly, I set records. Nikki, I don't think should have done what she did.
I just want to pause on this for a second, because, the normal human instinct... I don't know. You need her voters. You have 2 weeks for the election. You're hemorrhaging women voters. The normal human instinct would be she's great. Love Nikki Haley. Really looking forward to being on the show. I would love to find time. Open tent for her voters. I know it was a tough primary, but we are all on the same team. That would be normal. Why can't he do that? I don't want you to be armchair psychologist here, but maybe I kind of do.
Oh, I think it's very clear. He does not want to be seen anywhere with Nikki Haley. He doesn't like the fact
Can't he suck it up? Why can't he suck it up?
Because again, I think his pathologies don't allow this, Sam. He thinks he's winning.
Yeah.
And he thinks he has it in the bag, and he thinks he should win because everyone else sucks. And he thinks that she has some nerve to have run against him and to stay in the primary long past when she knew the writing was on the wall,
right.
Just whatever she, get her job at a think tank and to embarrass him or something. So he's really put off by that. And so the idea of being on a stage with her is the last thing he wants to do. He thinks it's unnecessary at this point. So his campaign thinks it's necessary. He doesn't.
Sure.
He thinks he's doing great with the women. Women love him, he thinks.
He's protecting them. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's why he talks about Arnold Palmer's penis, and it's why he's...
Well, that was number two for me. That was my second, what is he doing moment. It's he goes to Arnold Palmer's hometown in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. The campaign's this is his the preview is this is his closing argument speech. And then the first 10 minutes were this just meandering about Arnold Palmer, great guy, great golfer, and then he gets into this discourse about Arnold Palmer in the shower and man, was he well hung. And you're just sort of wait a second, what's he doing? What's he doing?
Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh, my God. That's unbelievable.
It was the worst example of him being, gratuitously vulgar, but he's been so awful recently I mean, he was awful at the Al Smith dinner in front of Cardinal Dolan and the gathered, dignitaries.
If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden.
He was cruel about her, about Joe Biden. He was just awful. It's all about using comedy to express your, common ground in your committee, ITY, and best behavior. He refused to give an ounce of best behavior. And he, even at his own supporters, a couple days ago, he said in Detroit, get your fat pig husbands off the couch.
Get your fat husband off the couch. Get that fat pig off the couch. Tell him to go and vote for Trump. He's going to save our country. Get that guy the hell off her. Get him up, Jill. Slap him around. Get him up. Get him up, Jill. We want him off the couch.
Come on, you got to tell him we got to go vote for Trump. Everyone is kind of, awful. He's allowed to sort of talk that way about them, and he's not trying to close this campaign.
Well, and you're hitting on a lot of the sort of I don't want to say atmospherics because they're not. It's just the behavioral things that he's doing that would be sort of outlandish in any situation, but particularly weird in the close of an election. But there's also the substantive stuff that you list in here, which is, continuously talking about enemies within.
That's an enemy from within. That is a threat to democracy. These are bad people. We have a lot of bad people. But when you look at Shifty Schiff and some of the others, they are, to me, the enemy from within. I think Nancy Pelosi is an enemy from within.
Threatening to revoke CBS's license because of some mythical editing that 60 Minutes did. They put the full clip up on Face the Nation.
You say CBS should lose its license. Why?
Sure. Well, I've never seen anything like it.
Stuff like that, where towards the end of an election, you kind of try to sand down the rough edges, but he seems to be wanting to accentuate them. And I guess the question I have is the idea here in his mind that it's precisely that edginess. It's precisely that sort of authoritarian streak that he has, that attitudinal approach to politics that he believes is what makes him or can drive out the voters in support of him. Is he making a calculation that actually what we deem to be off the wall behavior actually is the correct prescription for the voting electorate?
No, you hit on it. So to us, it's everything you don't do in the closing days when people have not come your way. They remain undecided. They have not been charmed by Trump. They're not Trumpers. And there's 12 days left or 15 days left. And what you're trying to do is play nice to bring them on board and not be scary. In his mind, he believes he will drive out the low propensity voter by being scary, by being authoritarian, and by threatening his political enemies, with the military and talking about how, the enemy within. So it's the inverse of what we think of as a strategy to pick up undecided voters and get them off the couch and get them to come vote for an election day. In his mind, he's inspiring a certain type of American with this kind of fascistic, talk. And it makes it so much more frightening to me because he's really showing us who he is, right? He's gross, but he's also really dangerous.
But I guess the other question on top of that is this strategic or is this just impulsive, right? Can he help himself? Is this an actual effort to gin up low propensity voters to come vote for you? Or is this just who he is? He sees an object and he slams with a hammer.
I think it's both. I mean, I think he trusts that his rap is really compelling and people are drawn to him. He's a showman. He believes that his show is attractive. It's popular and he loves his shtick. So whether it's, him swaying to music for 39 minutes a week ago, whatever he does, he is at the utmost confidence because of his narcissism that he is charming everybody.
Right.
And he's the ultimate, Vegas act. So it's that he does believe that real Trump is the best Trump because that's going to be a magnet for people's attention and it's going to get them out to vote. And he shouldn't be told by his advisors to rein it in.
Or to pander to Nikki Haley or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. So it is both sort of that he is an impulsive guy, but he also believes that real Trump is the answer.
Yeah. Well, it's a fascinating thing to watch. It's weird because he's doing this and yet, it's such a static race. And you're like, I mean, in theory, I guess he could be further ahead. But he's doing the stuff and you're like, wow, you're just tripping yourself up right at the closing line here. But that's just who he is. And maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. What do you think? How are you feeling right now before we let you go?
Okay, so I feel awful, but I was very uplifted. No, I really do. I'm despairing because the polls are so tight and wide.
Yeah.
But I have to say that the event this morning that Sarah Longwell, our publisher, moderated with Liz Cheney and the vice president I just found it really uplifting. It gave me hope. It just was, the vice president was great. Liz Cheney was great. Sarah was great. And the idea that Republicans are working so hard for the vice president in certain areas of the country to say to Republicans who have formally supported Trump, you don't want to do this. I think it's effective. I'm glad they're investing the time and energy in it, and we'll see how effective it is. But it made me feel a little bit better. Yeah,
people don't really. I mean, it's 4 years ago, but 2020 was obviously an odd election. 2016, there was nothing like even though it's limited, there was not really this concerted Republican effort to convince fellow Republicans to vote for the opposition. And this is something new to this election. We'll see if it works. All right, AB, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Everyone should go read her piece on the Bulwark. Trump is trying hard to lose. It's awesome. It's fantastic. AB Stoddard, appreciate it. And everyone, please subscribe to Bulwark YouTube. Thanks all.